Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Jonathan.
And we are
Create and Capture Life.
For those of you that follow us on a regular basis, you know that we haven't put out a video in a couple of weeks, and there's been a very good reason for that.
So basically, you know, what you guys saw was not some random family, it wasn't some fake news story.
It wasn't some dramatic effect.
No, that is
just to get views. This really happened to our family. And
the Luis Torres, the man who we were talking about in the video, is my uncle. Was my uncle. He was my best friend, my mentor, when my family was moving around the country because we couldn't decide whether we wanted to live in Southern California or in South Florida. You know, he and my aunt took me in while I was still going to school, so we got super close. So my uncle and my aunt, for that matter, were like my second parents. And, you know, all of this happened. I got the phone call from, I don't remember who made the initial phone call. Nope. I think it was my mom. My mom made the initial phone call and told me that my uncle had been murdered. And then I called Lynn. I was on my way to work, and this all just kind of spiraled from there. So, you know, some of you guys that I work with, you guys heard this story basically right as it was developing, because I came to work. And yeah, I went to work because I knew at that point in time there was really nothing much that I could do. Because they are up in Northern California, obviously from what you saw in the Sonoma County area, and us being down here in Orange County, you know, there was really nothing I could do. I talked to my family up there, and so yeah, so that's what's been going on with us.
Everything happened, as you saw in the previous part of this video, February 8th, 2018. It's been a roller coaster ever since. As you saw from the video, they caught all of the suspects eventually. So all of the stuff that you saw in the video previous to us speaking right now was the story of what happened in February of 2018 and subsequent months since then. Last Tuesday, we drove up to Northern California. Wednesday, we went to court. And Thursday, we drove home, and today's Sunday. Jonathan's aunt, Adriana, was coerced, for lack of a better term, into agreeing to let the murderers have a plea bargain. None of us were happy about it, including her, but after 2.5 years and being coerced the way she was with the legal system, she agreed to the plea bargain. Part of the plea bargain was that we as family members got to go to court and read our victim impact statements. We're not going to read those for you guys, but we read them in court. None of us knew what to expect when we went to court. Obviously, that's not something you do every day. You don't face the person who murdered your family member. That's not something you ever think you're gonna do in life. You don't you watch 2020 and Dateline and those shows, and you don't ever see yourself being on the other side of that. And of course, we never did either.
And if any of you have ever experienced anything like this in your life, you know, we know now how difficult it is, and you know how difficult it is. You know, and I really hope this doesn't happen to anybody else that we care about. I hope this
Or
really
to anybody.
to be honest, because this is just a horrible feeling. Horrible having to see the people that I know are responsible for my uncle not being with us anymore.
And we didn't know when they shot their way into their house, which is how they got in the house. They shot bullets through their plate glass window on their sliding door and ran in the house. They were all wearing masks. And so until we were in court, Adriana and Carlos, which were the Jose Luis's wife and son,
My aunt and my cousin.
Jonathan's aunt and cousin, were tied up. And while Jose Luis was forced into a back bedroom, as you saw earlier in the video, and he was executed. We don't know why. We'll never know why. But until that day in court, we didn't know what those, other than their mugshots. You know, we've seen their mugshots on the news, and we saw them in the newspapers and stuff, but we didn't know these men.
Obviously.
Or what they look like, and neither did Carlos and Adriana. And then we went to court, and there they were in their jumpsuits and their chains. And it was surreal. It was just crazy. One of the guys never looked at us once. Another one looked at us the entire time. And the third one, being the coward that he is, refused to wear his COVID-19 mask. He was already chained to a chair, like a wheelchair, so he couldn't cause a ruckus, because apparently he's been causing a ruckus all the time. And so he was already chained down to like a wheelchair, legs and hands, but he could reach his face. And he pulled his COVID mask down and refused to put it back on. And rather than forcing him to wear it and forcing him to stay in the courtroom and listen to us, the judge allowed him to leave. And so he didn't even have to listen to what any of us said, and especially what Adriana and Carlos and Daniela had to say. And that sucked. Like, the guy was bold enough to go in and commit murder, but he can't sit there and listen. Like, what a coward.
Yeah.
We were so mad about that, and that was just like another blow to the family. And it was just, they didn't apologize. One of the guys, through his attorney, said, you know, he hopes that we forgive him, but they didn't apologize. They didn't make a statement. They didn't, it just was what it was. Like, and they got sentenced to the plea bargain, to the deals of the plea bargain. And then not until after the judge was speaking did we, any of us, realize that they did this plea bargain that Adriana and the other family who they had robbed previous to them agreed to. We didn't know that they could appeal their plea bargain. So that was news to us when the judge said, you know, gave them their appellate rights. I don't understand. I've never heard of that. I don't understand what the point of making a plea bargain is if you can appeal a plea bargain.
Yeah.
Or what the point of us going through all of that was. If they can appeal it, it makes no sense. The other thing that was really hard that day, I mean, everything about that day was hard, from getting up in the morning and just everything, and it still is. But the other thing that was ridiculous to me was the same ADA who convinced the families to agree to this plea bargain. Prior to us going to the courtroom, we weren't allowed into the courthouse until we could go to the courtroom because of COVID. So we had to sit outside. We were allowed to sit together because we're all family, we're in the same house. That ADA felt like that was the time to tell all of us that we should feel sorry for them. We should feel sorry for those murderers because they had horrible childhoods. And, you know, they didn't have advantages in life. And so that she literally told us that we should feel bad for them. Right before we were going into court to face these men who murdered our family member and read our impact statements, she had the audacity to tell us that we should feel sorry for them. What? I mean,
Yeah, that's not even. Yeah, I don't know, guys.
what is wrong with our judicial system that we're supposed to feel sorry for someone who broke through a gate, shot their way into a house, terrorized and bound a family, and then executed someone? We're supposed to feel bad for them? What is wrong with our system? I don't get it. And then the other guy.
So there's one of the other people in this case is basically defending himself right now because he's gone through multiple attorneys and refused the help of any of those attorneys because he says that he believes he is innocent of this whole thing because all he did was drive the car to the crime scene.
He also picked these people up from the airport, told them which houses to go to.
And told them the layout of the house.
And drove them to the houses.
Yeah, so
But he's claiming that he's innocent.
Yeah, he was the local contact for these guys. Now...
And mind you, these are all, according to media and according to the ADA, these are all gang members.
Yeah.
From the East Coast that specifically came to the West Coast, and this is something that happens apparently often.
Yeah, because basically what they do is they come here, they commit a crime, and then they disappear.
Yeah.
Because they go to a different area of the country. So since they can't be tracked or...
Nobody knows who they are
Or nobody knows who they are here. So they keep one person that's a local contact, which is the person now, in this case, that's defending himself. But the other ones just disappear almost literally into the wind. In our specific case was that the house across the street from my family's house had just installed high definition cameras all over the property. So
you have to understand the street that they lived on. They moved, obviously. The street they lived on was a cul-de-sac, but a rural cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
So at the time, it was basically a dirt road that ended in two houses on the end, one Jonathan's family's, the other another neighbor, and then along the road there were two farms, one on each side.
And so the horse farm that's
one of the horse farms
had been having some issues with people coming in and like harassing their horses and stuff like that. So they were gonna get these guys. So they put super high definition cameras all over the property. Well, one of the officers noticed the cameras, went to the family, said, "Hey, we'd like to review the footage," and as it turns out, that's how they got the vehicle identification.
Not only did they get the vehicle identification, they saw the people that were driving and the passenger. They also saw the license plate of the vehicle, so they were able to put out a bolo on the vehicle. And you know what? God was looking out because they would have never been caught.
Yeah.
But because of that camera and because in another city, they, after committing these crimes, decided to go to breakfast at Denny's. They didn't care, obviously. They went to breakfast. And an officer in another city who paid attention to the bolo, thank you, whoever you are, saw that vehicle in the Denny's parking lot. He waited for them to come out. When they came out, and he tried to pull them over when they were driving away, they tried to evade him. In trying to evade him, they hit another family in another vehicle, seriously injuring both of those people in that vehicle, and they all took off running.
Yep.
That day they caught 3 of them at that car accident scene. One of them got away but was caught later that day at a Motel 6 in the city of Santa Rosa. And about 9 months later?
I don't know.
The only girl was caught in the state of Virginia, which is where they were all from.
Yeah.
So, the legal system, from the police and the detective standpoint, we have nothing but praise for them. They went way above and beyond everything that they could have done to help find these guys. They found them. They did everything, collected evidence. There's a lot more involved in this case that we still can't talk about. But they did everything. They kept in contact with the family. We have nothing but praise for the detectives and the officers involved. As far as the ADA, and our judicial system, you suck. I'm just going to say it.
Yep.
You suck. There's no other. You suck.
Yeah, this, we understand the potential outcome that they thought could have happened, which is, somebody could feel sorry for these guys and they could get off scot-free. But the reality is, we believe in our hearts that there was enough evidence, that there was enough information, that there was enough everything to make sure these guys go away for a much longer time.
Or even the death penalty.
Yeah, well, we're in California. There's no such thing as a death penalty.
Well, they put him on death row, but... So...
But yeah.
I don't feel... I'm bothered as a person that understands the judicial system, having a sister-in-law that's a court reporter, having a brother-in-law that's an attorney, having friends and family that are judges and other attorneys and police officers, and having done all the filming work that I've done with them. I know enough about the legal system to know that Adriana and Carlos were, I don't know, like not forced, but led in the direction to agree to, like they had no choice.
Yeah, and I actually
for the
think,
plea bargain. I think the district attorney was only telling them that they had an option. We all strongly believe that decision had already been made, because they were not notified when the first girl that you saw, the only girl, Skittles, I believe her name was, or her street name. Her AKA.
They were not notified when she was given a plea bargain.
They didn't even, the only reason they knew she got a plea bargain is because it came out in the local paper.
Yeah.
And for the murderers to get a plea bargain, the families had to sign off on it.
Yeah.
And I'm really bothered at the fact that they were put in a position to feel like they had no choice but to go along.
Yeah, and even up to the day.
With the threat of, well, they could just get away with it scot-free. Well, and the detective just didn't believe that. And the investigators didn't believe that. And they told us so. And so that ADA, and then to tell us to feel sorry for them, was out of line. And eventually, when this is all said and done, we've decided that we will write a letter explaining how we felt as a family, to have someone tell us that, sitting outside of the courtroom where the murderers were, waiting to hear our statements. But yeah, it's just crazy. This happened to our family. It happened in, I say our family because Jose Luis was one of those guys that the day I met him, he just made me feel part of the family. He was amazing. I used to tease him because he had a Ricky Ricardo accent. He sounded just like Ricky Ricardo, and he laughed just like him. So I used to always tease him about that. And ironically, Adriana loves I Love Lucy, which at the time I didn't know, so that was funny. He was the kind of guy that wouldn't get in a confrontation if he didn't have to. He wasn't like that. He would give anybody the shirt off his back if they needed it. He just wasn't that kind of guy. And the one thing we all wanted to know is what happened in that bedroom, and we're never going to know. We're never going to know what happened. And we can't bring him back, and nothing we do or say can bring him back. So, yeah. It's just been a crazy few weeks for us, so thank you for hanging in there with us. We're sorry. I guess we're not sorry we didn't do a video, haven't done videos. We've been a little bit emotionally damaged.
Yeah, this is something we've known. I think just after we posted our last video, I actually went and spent some time with my family up in Northern California, and I knew this was coming. We didn't exactly know the dates until my aunt called me.
But we didn't know there was a plea bargain. We knew they were supposed to have a court date to set the trial, or to start the trial. It was while Jonathan was in Northern California, and thank God he was there to support his aunt in Northern California. When this happened is when she got the phone call that, hey, we want to make a deal.
Yeah.
And so thank God Jonathan was there to help support her, and it was meant to be that he was there, as close as they are.
Yeah.
Because that's when she found out, oh, by the way, they're not, we're not going to do a trial, we want to do a plea bargain.
Yep. And I will, once this is a little bit more down the road, you guys saw in the beginning of the video, there were some claims from the news media, the local news media, about my family being involved in the drug trade and growing marijuana and stuff like that. I can just simply say for right now that none of that is true. My uncle was let me just phrase it this way. My uncle was an immigrant to the United States. He came here at the very young age because he wanted a better life. One of the biggest things that my uncle did was start a business. He had worked for appliance repair companies for years, and he opened his own appliance repair company. And because my uncle is dedicated, he's a hard worker. He was a hard worker, and like I said, he's an inspiration to me, to his son, to so many. He busted his butt, and he made his appliance repair business, the best out there.
One of the best. And if you know California and you know wine country, that's where they live.
Yeah.
So his business serviced all of the high-end appliances for all the wineries, and he was...
he got multiple awards. I mean, the year that he passed away, one of the factories gave their business this huge award for their level of service. So was my uncle a drug dealer or involved in the drug trade? No. Did he have...
And he also, Jonathan said he came here as an immigrant. He worked really hard and went all the right routes and became a legal U.S. citizen years ago, took the test and everything, and he was so proud.
And he was super proud of it.
To become a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
And, to build a life here, live the American dream. And he was robbed of all of it.
Yeah.
For no reason. And the media, there's nothing we can do about the local media right now.
Yeah.
But eventually...
eventually we will get to tell more of the story.
We'd love to set the record straight.
And we will. Because
He wasn't a drug dealer.
He was not.
He wasn't selling drugs. He wasn't just growing drugs. He wasn't doing any of that. And for them to blatantly put that in their newspapers and on their television reports in Northern California is disgusting.
Yeah, just because my uncle had expensive tastes and he liked nice cars and stuff like that, he worked.
He owed on all of them.
Oh yeah, he worked his butt off for all of that. He had crazy amounts of debt, but the way my uncle did things was, if I want something, I'll figure out how to pay for it. And he went and did it. If they wanted to go on a lavish vacation, he would say, all right, how many more service calls this week do I have to do? Do I, work extra time, stuff like that? That's what he did.
And he lived the life he wanted to live, the way he wanted to live it. And
so if you guys have been following us for a while, you guys know that almost a year ago now, we posted a video about why we're going full-time.
Who we are.
And who we are. And my uncle's murder was a huge part of that. So now, being that it's almost a year since we started the RV journey, it's kind of interesting that this is kind of wrapping up at this point as Lynn and I are really winding down, and we'll have more in the coming weeks about what's going on with us and the RV process. But we really just wanted to say thank you to you guys that have been following us, to our friends that kind of have known what's been going on over the last few weeks. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your text messages, emails, everything. We can't thank you enough. To all of our subscribers, we apologize for not having videos for the last couple weeks. But then again, I hope you guys understand.
Yeah, hopefully you get it. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following our journey. We will be back on our regular scheduled Monday posts after this week.
Yep.
And they will not be
so down.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Nothing else like this will ever happen again. And we'll be back to ourselves. But for this week, we appreciate you taking this journey with us. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them below. We're not opposed to answering questions. If you've had something like this happen in your family, tell us your story, because we would love to know how the judicial system worked for you and how it worked for your family. And hopefully worked better for your family than it did for ours. But there, by the grace of God, at least the people were caught. Because if they hadn't been caught, who knows how many other people they would have killed in the last 2.5 years that they've been sitting in jail with no bail.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for being here. Please watch the rest of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. If this is your first video you're seeing, our videos are not usually like this. We're usually talking about RV living full-time and
the process to get there.
The process to get there and much happier things. So subscribe and tune in next week. And we love you guys. Thank you for your support.
And to end this just a little bit on a high note so that you guys can see, that is the garage behind us. Look at all of the space.
For those of you that know,
For those of you that know,
you know.
That's a big accomplishment. Can't even talk. Accomplishment. We'll be talking about this more next week. So.
And the rest of the story with this case is to be continued because there's still a trial that could happen with the other person.
Yep.
Apparently, an appeal can happen with a plea bargain for 60 days, I believe. So it's not over. We thought it would be over, and it's not over.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. We love you. We hope you're doing well. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Wash your hands, and please don't touch your face.
Take care.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.